Story 1. I am 6 feet tall, which is the perfect height. People see me as tall, but I am not so tall that the world was not designed to accommodate me. My dad was 5 feet 6 inches, and my mom was 5 feet 5 inches. My dad grew up in extreme poverty and sometimes did not get enough to eat when he was a kid. What he did get was usually not very nutritious. So he probably had the tall genes, but malnutrition played a role. Story 2. I am 50 years old, and I have never been happy about being 5 feet 7 inches tall. There is no advantage to being a short man. You just learn to deal with it. Story 3. Let me say this as a taller guy. The one thing that bothers me about being taller is that when it comes to hugs, it usually feels like a half hug. I don't get a balanced hug like shorter people do. Shorter people get the full embrace. I get half of it. It's not the end and not something that would be a deal breaker regarding dating. I still love hugs. I do get them by leaning over like a swaying building over shorter people. There is a difference, though, when they run up to me and hug me. It feels more like, oh, okay. They are feeling the hug more than I am. Story 4. I used to believe that 5 feet 9 inches was short based on what I saw on the internet, but in real life people think it is kind of tall. Story 5. I am 5 feet 3 inches tall and would love to be about 3 inches taller. I would love not to have to hem all my pants or buy cropped ones. Also, not having to wait in a long line for general admission to a concert because I cannot risk being blocked by the person in front of me would be great. Story 6. I am a 29-year-old man. I have never had insecurities about my height. I am just below average, and it has never held me back. Story 7. 6 feet 4 inches. I would like to be an inch or two shorter, I think. I would still be pretty tall, but would not look like a giant in a dollhouse whenever I walk into an older house designed for someone a foot shorter than me. Story 8. I am 5 feet tall. I wish I were taller, but I have accepted it. I just wish some people would not say that I am short. I know I do not have control over it. Story 9. Okay, I am literally 5 feet 11 and a half inches, so I rounded up to 6 feet. But I wish I were a few inches taller, maybe down there too. Story 10. I think I am about 5 feet 10 and a half inches tall, but people think I am 6 feet tall, so it is what it is. I used to be insecure because, not gonna lie, sometimes seeing people who are 6 feet 4 inches or 6 feet 5 inches tall felt unfair. But I am fine with it now. Story 11. I'm almost 17 years old, and I am 5 feet 8 and a half inches tall. Not bad, but all my friends are a few inches taller than me. I have a friend who is 1.5 years younger than me, but he has surpassed my height too. The rest of my friends are around the same age as me, and they are all taller. I don't know if I am short or if I just have tall friends. I am not insecure about it, just baffled by the luck. Story 12. I am married and could not care less. My wife is 5 feet 2 inches tall, and I am about 6 feet 2 inches tall. I am perfectly content with my height, and I also love my wife's height. Story 13. My partner tells me that if I were 5 centimeters taller, I could officially be classed as a gnome. I am fine with being short. Story 14. I always believed I was 5 feet 3 inches tall. However, during a recent visit to a second doctor, I was measured again and discovered that I am actually 5 feet 5 inches tall, which I absolutely do not feel like. I still feel very short. Either way, I really dislike my height. I feel like a child and rarely tower over anyone. I receive less respect or a lack of respect in average interactions despite being kind and polite. Story 15. I just wish all the short, insecure people who actually run this world would do a better job at trimming all the low-hanging branches, finally make pants and sleeves that are long enough, stop allowing short people to pay for exit row seats, and lastly, give up their 6-foot-plus model trophy wives so us poor, tall, unambitious wretches have a shot at them. Story 16. It's fine. I'm not especially tall or short, just average, but it has never occurred to me to care about it. I do know people with little man syndrome, someone who feels they aren't tall enough, so they go to the gym 3 times a day and act petulant half the time, with nearly every second word being an insult. But I have also known many men who were short, around 4-foot-something levels of short, and they were just normal and cool. They played in bands, had happy families, and were not unpleasant. I have also never once, in almost 40 years, heard a woman make any comment about a man's height, except something in passing like, Oh, that man is tall, and he might be around 7 feet and has to stoop to fit through a doorway. Sorry for the rant. I'm just baffled that this is a talking point. In case anyone is asking, my driver's license says I am 5'11". That was 20 years ago, and I have no idea if I am taller, shorter, or about the same now. Story 17. I am 5 feet 3 inches but feel 5 feet 8 inches. I often forget that I am actually short. I would say I have no problem, but I am a woman. Because I am short, I do not hold any height prejudice against men either. I will say, though, I cannot see my second shelf in my food cupboard. The other day, my flatmate found many cool treats there that I did not know I had. Story 18. I am 6 feet 6 inches tall. I used to wish I were a couple of inches taller. Now I am glad I am not. The world is not designed for people of normal height as it is. Story 19. I am a 5'11" woman. I would be perfectly happy to shave 2 inches off and donate them to a short person in need. Story 20. I would be happy to help a smaller person. 1.95 meters is just too much. Story 21. I am a 5 feet 11 inches tall woman and have always loved being tall in spite of what other people might think about it. I get a lot of weird comments, mostly from men but sometimes from women. Story 22. Women prefer to be with tall men. Except for tiny, petite women. They will only date tall men. Story 23. 5 feet 7 inches. That is what we consider standard height in my family. All of us, male or female, are within 1 inch of that. Story 24. I saw materialists recently. Being 6 feet 5 inches tall is apparently very attractive, and every woman bases every decision on height. I really cannot tell if that movie was purposely bad or not. Story 25. 5 feet 6 inches and it is perfect. I can reach things but still wear normal clothes, and heels do not make me way too tall. Story 26. 6 feet 4 inches tall and 167 pounds. It is hard to find clothes that fit. When I was in the military, I had to take my uniforms to a tailor. Story 27. I do not think about it at all. I do not even know how tall I am, and I have never cared about other people's heights unless it was very extreme. Story 28. 6'1". Tall enough to attract girls, short enough that people do not stop and stare at me. Story 29. My ex was 6 feet 3 inches tall, and my current boyfriend is 5 feet 10 inches tall. I am 5 feet 2 inches tall. The best height for me is 5 feet 8 inches, but it does not really matter in the grand scheme. My brother is shorter than his model girlfriend, so there is hope for shorter men out there. Story 30. I hate it. If I had the money, I would seriously get limb lengthening surgery. It is not just about how society perceives me as a short man. It is about how I feel about myself. Story 31. I am 5 feet 6 inches tall. I wanted to be a model, but I am not a model. Mostly fine with it, except I am never considered tall or short, just in the middle of the perfect female height range. Story 32. I am 178 centimeters or 5 feet 10 inches tall. I feel like the world is mostly designed to accommodate people my height, so it is nice. I have never been inconvenienced by my height. Story 33. At 5 feet 9 inches, I consider myself pretty average, and with my looks, I tend to joke that I am the default character. No real ups or downs about it. I am pretty comfortable with what I have going on. Story 34. Okay, I am 6 feet tall. I think I could be a bit taller, but I am sure after the airplane flight next week, I will probably take that back. Story 35. 6 feet 3 inches. I would not change it. Top end of the normal height range. Taller than most. Not so tall that it stands out or causes problems. Story 36. I am too tall. Being over 190 centimeters is inconvenient in my opinion. You start hitting your head on things, intimacy can be logistically annoying, and my back hurts. Story 37. I am close to 5 feet 10 inches and never thought much of it growing up until I got to college and learned for the first time how much height matters to girls. I suddenly became insecure about it despite being slightly above average. Story 38. I am 6 feet 3 inches tall. which I have always found to be perfect. Taller than most, yet not a height that draws any remarks or surprises. Clothes seem to fit fairly well in both height and width. I have heard it can get difficult for taller people. Story 39. At 6 feet exactly, and I am fine with it. According to my physician, some of the medications I had to take as a child probably stunted my growth, so I am a little salty that I was not a couple of inches taller. But overall, I am happy with my height. Story 40. Controversial, people often mistake my height. Could be my hair or my scoliosis, but it remains a subject of debate. Story 41. I am 5 feet even. I wish every day I were 5 feet 9 inches. I cannot reach anything, and it is hard to find jeans because everything is too long on me. Truly is frustrating. Story 42. I am 6 feet 2 inches and wish I were shorter. I have constant tightness in my neck and back from looking down at my toddler and my 5 feet 4 inches wife. I cannot find a comfortable seat to monitor ratio at work, so I spend long days hunched over short computer screens. I want to build out a van for traveling as my son grows, but it is basically only suitable for people 5 feet 10 inches and under. I literally get used as a weather shield by my partner to hide from bright sun or rain. I am all about acts of service, but if I am getting wet, suffer with me. Story 43. I am 6 feet 4 inches tall. It's all right. In a standard American home, I am basically about the maximum size someone should be. I've scraped my hands on popcorn-style ceilings when I've taken shirts off. It has made me bleed. Ceiling fans are a nightmare. Weightlifting, one of my favorite hobbies, is more difficult because I am long and heavy. The deadlift is allegedly easier for me, but I am not so sure. I've been working on pull-ups for essentially years now and can only do 6. Clothes are awkward. A large or extra-large shirt usually fits my form the best. But if I stretch, I expose my belly and love handles, and my body dysmorphia can't take it. Shirts labeled tall are made for people taller than me, so those shirts often come down to my thighs. Women may find me more attractive, but it is not like they are coming up to me and introducing themselves, unless the woman has liquid courage. I still have to have game and do things right to be successful. My height will not save me. Transportation can be problematic. I took a rideshare to the airport the other day. The driver was driving a Chrysler 200. I was forced to slouch in the chair because the ceiling was pressing against my head. Flying is difficult. I always hear stories about a man in first class giving up his seat to a tall man, but that has never happened to me. I would gladly trade a few of my inches for other perks, like being able to grow a full beard. Story 44. I am 6 feet 2 inches tall. I love my height, but my dream height has always been 6 feet 4 inches. I am fine with my height, though. I am taller than 95% of the people I see. Story 45. There are plenty of times I have wished I was taller, but as I have gotten older and more comfortable in my own skin, I actually quite like being a petite woman who is 5 feet 2 inches tall. My husband calls me his munchkin, which is fair because he is over a foot taller than me at 6 feet 4 inches. The only time I really wish I was a little taller is when we slow dance at a party because even with 4-inch heels, I am still basically just cozying up to his belly button. Story 46. Most men lie about their height, so I doubt most feel good about their height. I met men who were my height, 5 feet 11 inches, and claimed to be 6 feet 2 inches. Story 47. I feel all right. Culturally, I am too tall, but I am a good average height, 5 feet 6 inches female. However, I do wish sometimes I was smaller. My bones are too big. Even if I lost weight completely, I would still be large. I am not even overweight right now, but I still feel like a monster compared to other girls. Story 48. I am pretty content with it unless it is in comparison to my siblings. I wish I were still taller than my younger brother. Story 49. I am 5 feet 11 inches, which is on the shorter side in my country, but on the tall side for most of the rest of the world. So I am fine. Story 50. Reading the comments, I have no idea how tall everyone is. The United States measurement system is unusual. On topic, 1.90 meters here, very happy about my height. Story 51. Probably just my body type, but being 5 feet 7 inches and well-figured, especially from the chest, for some reason makes guys think I am dominant. It is annoying and definitely not true. Just because I am not small does not mean I am dominant. I wish I were just a few inches shorter. Story 52. 5 feet 8 inches female. I am fine with it. I am tall enough to reach the top shelf without asking. However, I get irritated when people tell me I should not be allowed to wear heels. Story 53. I don't think about it. I am 5 feet 7 inches tall, and the only time it is an issue is when buying pants because my inseam is about 28 inches and hard to find off the rack. Story 54. I am 5 feet 7 inches tall, a female, or 5 feet 6.5 inches according to my doctor. I was a tall kid, so elementary school and middle school were difficult, but in high school I started to appreciate my height. I am above average, which is 5 feet 4 inches in the United States, but I do not feel a significant difference in height comparatively. In some places I tower over people, and in others I feel average. I think it is a great height to be. Story 55. I am 6 feet 1 inch tall, and I love it. I have always been tall, so it has mostly kept me from ever getting bullied in school. The only downside is finding pants in my size. 36 by 34 is a very common size for men. Story 56. 6 feet 5 inches. Too tall for many things. Cars, airplane seats, hotel beds, and several sports. However, women seem to appreciate taller men. Story 57. Honestly, I'm indifferent about it, particularly because my back is affected due to scoliosis, and so the stability of the number has varied. Let's just say that I'm tall at 5 feet 10 inches to 6 feet, but that's with a compressed spine. Furthermore, this varied multiple times while I was still growing. I was diagnosed with scoliosis when I was 13, so ultimately, I should probably be taller than 6 feet with an uncompressed spine. Honestly, though, I'm indifferent about the whole thing. That said, bar stools aren't fun. Also, the question is whether having the shrimpback level scoliosis I have will cause other collateral issues. Honestly, I think my height is useful for reaching things. Given certain other factors, it does play into some things, but that's its own matter. Story 58. I am the shortest one in my and my husband's family, with a brief reprieve when I had children. My first child outgrew me at 14. I am just waiting for the second to hit a growth spurt. Then I will be the shortest again. I am okay with it overall, but I sometimes wish I had made it to 6 feet. Story 59. 5'2" female, a few inches shorter than average. It honestly does not bother me. It seems to bother other people, though. I constantly get called short, but to me, I never notice it unless someone points it out. Story 60. I am a short woman. My 7-year-old has legs nearly the same length as mine. Trousers on the shop rail have ankles that touch the floor and a waist that reaches my shoulder. The benches in my kitchen give me backache from reaching up to work at them. I feel like the world was not designed with me in mind. Story 61. Perfectly happy. I am a 5'5" woman. It is tall enough to not be inconveniently short, but not tall enough to be seen as particularly tall or to be taller than most shorter men. If I had to choose a height, I would probably choose my height, though I would be good with an inch or two taller as well. Story 62. I hate that I inherited my mother's height genetics instead of my father's. I am literally a head shorter than my cousins. Story 63. My girlfriend likes it, and I really like the height difference between us, but I sometimes wish I were shorter. Clothes would fit me properly, for starters. I have major anxiety around shopping because everything I like never fits me or never looks good on me. I have to wear jeans as three-quarter pants sometimes, and my sleeves are always too short even when I buy larger sizes to fit my shoulders better. I wear holes into things because I'm too anxious to spend hours trying to find replacements. I can never order clothes online because it is always a waste of money when they don't fit, even with measurements given. It has also quietly affected my career. If I had been shorter, I would have had more opportunities. I'm happy with where my career is now, but it has come after many years of frustration and feeling overlooked in favor of smaller women. I feel like a hulking behemoth sometimes. I stick out like a sore thumb. I spend a lot of time trying not to draw attention to myself. Story 64. I'm fine with it. I wish I were an inch or two taller. 6 feet 1 inch would have been great. That is how tall my father was. Story 65. I am average height and never think about it. No situation has occurred where I wish to be taller. The idea that women want men who are 6 feet and taller is unreasonable. Calling 5 feet 10 inches or 5 feet 11 inches men short is illogical. Story 66. I have been 5 feet 5 inches tall since I was 12. Over it. It is a fine height. I feel short until I am around some of my coworkers. I have always wanted to be 5 feet 7 inches like my mom. But it is what it is. Story 67. I just found out that at 5 feet 5 inches, I am taller than the average woman. It feels strange because I always thought I was average. Story 68. I mean, it's not bad. 6 feet 1 inch, I stand out everywhere in my country. I was the tallest in my school class and am the tallest in my college class. But I still wish I were a bit taller. Story 69. I wish I were taller. Not because I dislike my height, but because other people constantly mention it, and it affects my chances of finding a girlfriend. Story 70. As a 5'7" woman, I definitely got bullied a lot as a kid, and they made me feel like Bigfoot. I have learned to embrace my height. My grandmother was almost 6 feet tall, and she was an amazing and very beautiful woman, so I am not ashamed to be taller. Story 71. 6 feet 2 inches. Pretty happy with it. Although I am glad I am not taller because people even make comments about my height. So being 6 feet 5 inches or more must be really annoying. Story 72. People give me criticism for being short, but statistically I am average height for a female my age. I accepted my height a long time ago. I am happy with how I am. Story 73. I am tiny. I am above 5 feet tall. I do not care much. Others do, though. And that is disappointing. I think I am usually pretty great, but that does not really matter. Others care so much that my natural course of action is to expect nothing and take no action. This is unfortunate because sometimes, rarely, people actually do like me, and I miss the opportunity because I expect nothing and take no action. Catch 22. But honestly, it is better to never be disappointed than to succumb to the negative feelings I used to have. I am too old for these games anymore. Story 74. I am 26 years old and male. I am 5 feet 4 inches tall. I struggle to reach things on the top shelf, and that is my only complaint. It is everyone else who seems to have an issue with my height, not me. Story 75. I am shrinking as I become older due to a combination of weaker bones and a major orthopedic operation. This also happened to my parents. Story 76. I am on the verge of tall and too tall. I have hit my head countless times. The full body mirror cuts off just at my neck. Everyone looks at me. My feet dangle off the mattress. I ordered an office chair with a neck rest, but I cannot use it because I am too tall. Story 77. I wish I were a little shorter. I am 6 feet 2 inches, 188 centimeters. It is uncomfortable when I use transportation, and it is difficult to sit in cars. I feel strange being taller than everyone around me. I receive comments about my height every day. I am an introvert, so I do not like being noticeable. Story 78. I am a female, about 5 feet 6 inches tall, and always wanted to be taller. Now I am under 5 feet and use a wheelchair. Story 79. I am a 1.68 meter tall girl, and I would not mind being a bit shorter since I love people towering over me, but it is not something I care about a lot. Story 80. 6 feet 3 inches, and I think being around 6 feet 1 inch would be more comfortable for various reasons, but overall I am happy. Story 81. I'm 6 feet 6 inches tall. The world isn't built for giants like me. Doing the dishes or any cooking already hurts my back because I have to stand hunched over the sink or countertop. Taking a ride on public transportation is frustrating because there isn't enough space to sit in a seat comfortably. I either have to sit sideways, taking up 2 seats, or choose not to sit at all. The seats near the bus doors have enough legroom, but other than the group seats, that's all. On the other hand, being able to reach the attic hatch without needing tools or grabbing everything on the top shelf is convenient. Story 82. I am 5 feet 10 inches tall. It is fine. Too many men are crybabies who would rather blame their height for their lack of success with women than take the necessary steps to appeal to them. Story 83. 5 feet 7 inches is a great height for a woman. It is pretty much the ideal height to me. Clothes hang well, I can reach most things on higher shelves, I do not have to wear super high heels, which I dislike, and I can snuggle into my boyfriend perfectly. He is 6 feet 3 inches tall. Story 84. Satisfied is one of the few things that has never been an issue for me in my life. I am 1.66 meters tall, which is the perfect height to buy clothes without any alterations needed. I used to have issues with foot size 42 because it is hard to find women's shoes in this size. However, ever since athleisure became popular, I have been happily buying and wearing unisex sneakers all the time. Size 42 is a common size for men's shoes. Story 85. I am 4 feet 11 inches, 5 feet on a good day, and I love it. I love being towered over by people, being picked up easily, and just feeling like a delicate little flower. Yet somehow it upsets people that I love my height. They think I also want to be tall. Story 86. 1.96 meters, 6 feet 4.3 inches. A bit annoyed that I didn't get the full 2 meters, 6 feet 6.5 inches. If I am already going to be uncomfortably tall, I might as well get the full 2 meters. It is kind of lame to stop 4 centimeters before it. Other than that, it has its benefits but also many downsides. Story 87. I am 35 years old and 6 feet tall, weighing about 200 pounds. I live abroad in Asia, and I feel my height is ideal as I fit comfortably in most situations. Truth be told, I believe the perfect height for men is between 6 feet 1 inch and 6 feet 4 inches, depending on frame and build. Personally, I would love to be 2 inches taller, but I do not feel short or undersized. Story 88. Honestly, I feel pretty down most of the time. Being 5 feet 9 inches tall comes with a lot of insecurities. It is not easy, but I guess there is only so much I can do. Story 89. Shorter than I like until I stand next to someone who is tall, and I say to myself, we are the same height. Story 90. I am a 5 foot 6 inch male, and I do not care about my height or what others think of me. If my height is a deterrent, that is their problem, not mine. I have a great head of hair, all my teeth, which are straight and clean, my skin is well cared for, and I can talk to anyone. Story 91. Male, around 5 feet 9 inches tall. Not tall, but not short either. It has never been a problem. My wife is 5 feet 2 inches tall and is scarier than any large muscular man I have ever met. She has no fear. Story 92. I am fine with it. I was a teacher at a private school and they grow them tall in the wealthy families, but I am humble enough to be middle class, medium height at 6 feet, or just under if I am being honest. Story 93. 6 feet 3 inches. 99% of the time, it is a plus, such as reaching things on high shelves. Females tend to be attracted to tall men. However, hitting your head on objects and experiencing back pain is unpleasant. Additionally, not being able to fit in certain vehicles can be problematic. Story 94. I am a 72-year-old female. Growing up, I reached a height of 5 feet 8 inches. Now, after arthritis and bone loss, I am down to 5 feet 5 inches. I am not happy about it at all. Story 95. I am okay with being a short girl. It is more or less considered normal for Asian women to be short, so I do not have any complex over it. Story 96. Extremely average at 180 centimeters for the European region at least. Always thought an extra 3 to 5 centimeters would be lovely. Story 97. 5 feet 7 inches female. Always wished I was a couple of inches shorter. I have wide shoulders and large feet, so the combination is not my favorite as a woman. Plus, my arms are very long, so I do not feel like I need the height to reach things. Story 98. I am of average height, 5 feet 8 inches. Neither tall nor short. This is the perfect height for bumping my head on open cupboard doors. Story 99. It is impractical and often makes people assume that I am much younger than I really am, but people still accept me for it. Story 100. 25 years old, 5 feet 5 inches. I think the obsession with wanting to be tall is pretty weird, as I feel like I am the perfect height. Story 101. I am 6 feet 4 inches tall, almost 6 feet 3 3/4, and I often think it would be cool to be 6 feet 5 inches. The 5 just sounds better. Even at my height, I feel like one more inch would be nice. Aside from that, most chairs are uncomfortable. Shoes have to be ordered online. Long sleeves are always too short. I hit my head on something at least once a week. My head touches the roof of some cars I get in. In crowds, I can see everything that is happening. Chairs at theaters and event centers are usually horrible. I am really bad at basketball. Latex gloves are never big enough. People tell me I am big semi-regularly, as if I did not know. Strangers and new acquaintances. I do not get to take baths because I have yet to have a bathtub big enough to lie down in. Sometimes, at grocery stores, smaller people ask me to get things from high shelves for them, which is nice. The nickname Big Guy, or Big followed by my name, is frequent. When I hug people, I usually rest my chin on top of their head. I have no idea how tall other people are because most people are just smaller than me. Story 102. That depends. If it is when people are commenting on how tall I am, I feel good. But if I am driving the wrong car or heaven forbid I am on an airplane, it is torture. Story 103. I am a 5 foot 1 inch woman, and for the most part, I like it. But something I really dislike is that people sometimes do not see me down here. Several times I have entered a business to be helped, and I stand there trying to make eye contact, but nothing happens. So I leave and send in my 6 foot 3 inch husband. He is helped immediately. I also get cut while standing in line a lot. It happens to my sister, who is also 5 foot 1 inch. Can make you feel very small indeed. Story 104. I am a single, short male. My dating life is terrible. I try to make the best of it, though there is really nothing I can do to change it. Story 105. I'm a 5 foot 10 inch guy. My dad is 5 foot 6 inches and my mom is 5 foot 3 inches. I wish I were just 2 inches taller so I could say that I'm 6 feet because it seems like everyone in my area is 6 feet and taller. Story 106. I am 6 feet tall and feel it is a good height. One thing I am tired of is people assuming I am strong just because I am tall and male. I have an autoimmune illness. Do the lifting yourself and do not ask me again. Story 107. It is one of my favorite attributes about myself. I am just tall enough to be noticeably above average but not too tall to the point where things do not fit anymore. Story 108. I am 5 feet 9 inches, approximately 175 centimeters, tall and female. I am also Asian. Among Asian women, I really do stand out and feel like I hover over everyone's heads a lot. I have heard that I am too intimidatingly tall for Asian men. I love my height and have learned to embrace it. Story 109. I was a good football player, but if I were 3 inches taller, I would have been a Division I lineman. I am 6 feet 1 inch. 6 feet 5 inches is what they really want. Story 110. I am 5 feet 11 inches tall, which is about perfect. I can reach just about anything. I can see over the shelves and watch my surroundings. Most people are shorter than I am. Story 111. I am a bit of a wallflower, but my height of 6 feet 2 inches has made that a little difficult. I would have liked to be shorter 6 feet. I learned not to question the good Lord, just to accept it. Growing up, I did not understand why the good Lord made me so handsome and intelligent, but I learned not to question the good Lord, just to accept it. Story 112. I am 5 feet 2 inches tall. I cannot reach the top shelves in my own home, let alone in stores. Both of my children are taller than I am now. My daughter told me, well, at least you are taller than the cats. Shopping for clothes always means the pants are too long. I would love to be just a little taller, like 5 feet 5 inches or so. Story 113. I am a 5 foot 6 inch male. I hate that I sometimes feel like a kid, and it makes dating harder. However, it is nice that I am around the average human height so I fit in all cars and chairs easily. Still, I wish I were 6 foot 2 inches. Story 114. Sometimes I wish I were smaller, 6 feet 7 inches. I have lost a bunch of work opportunities and sometimes cannot wear what I want. Story 115. I am 5 feet 6.5 inches tall, just slightly shorter than about half the men I know. For the other half, I am the same height or taller, which is unusual because I have always been the short kid. I expect to get taller in the future. If not, I do not mind. Story 116. 6 feet 1 inch at 16 years old. As of 2 weeks ago. I am freshly 16 and could not be happier. I am moderately tall compared to everyone else and do not hit my head on things. Story 117. 5 feet 10 inches female. Sometimes I like it. Sometimes I wish I was a bit shorter and blended in more. Heels are a no-go for me. Story 118. I am 5 feet 6 to 5 feet 7 inches tall, depending on the day or the shoes I am wearing. I know that is average for a female, but I wish I were shorter. Guys seem to gravitate towards short women, and I always feel like I am an inch taller than my husband. Story 119. I have felt out of place my entire life for being tall. It is just so uncomfortable and you feel so big. The crazy thing is I am only 169 centimeters, and somehow I am taller than everyone. Story 120. I would be about 173 centimeters or 5 feet 8 inches if I did not have scoliosis. I am actually 170 centimeters or 5 feet 7 inches. To be honest, my height is not that bad, but I wish I had a straight spine. Story 121. 5 feet 6.5 inches is not extraordinary in any sense, so I think it would be fun to go down a few inches and become a gremlin. Story 122. As a tall woman, I used to feel like every man I met was taken, oblivious, gay, or came up to my chin. Today, I love it because my husband is tall. I just had to wait a while until I met him. Patience is not my strongest virtue. Story 123. I hate it. I am seriously considering limb lengthening surgery. If the recovery time were not so long, I would have had it already. I would give anything for 4 more inches or even 3. Being short is difficult. I am 25, so there is no natural hope anymore. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.